guys, hi, how's it going? How you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing my top 3 in all of my face categories, and my face categories are all things blush, bronzer, and highlight. It's just how I have it panned out in my inventory. I call it my face category. So I hope that sounds like something that you're interested in watching. And if so, please stay tuned because it's coming. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry for Ulta Beauty as a field leader, so I get a lot of education in my position. I like to bring you that education here, but ultimately I'm just out here talking about makeup because I like to talk about makeup. And I hope that you also like to talk about makeup. Otherwise, I question why you're here. And with that said, let's just talk about some makeup. Shall we talk about some makeup? Let's do it. I've done top 3 so far as I've gone through my collection declutters for you all. In lips, I've done it in my base categories, which included all things like concealers and foundations. I've also done it in my brow category and my mascara category. And now we're going to talk about face. And face is the funnest category in my humble opinion because it includes blushes, bronzers, highlights, all the pretties of the world. So I do have powder and cream for each one of those categories. So you're going to see basically 6 different blushes, 6 different bronzers, and 6 different highlighters, but it's all based on these are my favorite powders. These are my favorite creams or liquids for each one of those. And let's start with blush. For the favorite blush category, I have these are my powder blushes, and they seem really small in my hands, but they've been in my collection for years now. Let's start with this one. This is the Clinique Cheek Pop Blush Pop. I have literally had this blush for years in my collection, and I think that you can see just how much use I have gotten out of it. I purchased this blush many moons ago because of Lauren Mae Beauty just raving about this blush, and this one is my favorite, but I do have a couple different versions. I think this one, which is in Fig Pop, and I also have Heather Pop, which is a little bit more pink. This one is just, listen, it's super silky still today. It's just a little bit on the like rusty side. It goes with my complexion super well. It goes with some of those really potent like red and orange eye looks that I like to do specifically around the summertime. And it's just so beautiful and stays forever on my face. So I definitely love that. This one is a little bit more new to me. This one is the Buxom Wanderlust Primer Infused Blush in the shade Seychelles. And this one, actually, I was influenced by Steph from It's Just Steph here on YouTube's. But also Samantha March raves about this blush as well. This one is a little bit more natural tone. So it's got kind of that like lit from within, like blushy moment, that like no makeup look kind of blush to it. And it just is so pretty. Mauve kind of has this little bit of like sheeniness to it. I mean, that is a little bit more deep than I typically wear it. Obviously, it's a finger swatch, so it's going to look a little bit deeper, but it is just perfectly like brown without being brown and perfectly pink without being pink. It reminds me a lot of like the Charlotte Tilbury, like very Victoria lipstick, whereas like if people don't love Pillow Talk, they would likely love Very Victoria. That's kind of the thought process I have with this blush. It's just enough brown and just enough pink to be a perfect blush. I love also that it's primer infused, so it literally stays on my face also forever. And then this one is the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow in the shade Pink. And I purchased this, I guess it's been about a year or more ago, and you guys can see like you can barely see any of the imprint on this blush anymore. I have used the poop out of it, and at first when I picked it up I was like, I'm really not sure that I'm gonna love this shade of blush on me, but it just puts the most perfect like pinky shade on my skin and gives me a little bit of like that Barbie moment without being Barbie. And it goes really, really well with like purple eye looks. And I would say that of the 3 powder blushes that I have, this one probably lasts on my skin just a little bit less than the other 2. Like at the end of the day, like 10 hours in, I'm not seeing this blush anymore, whereas I'm seeing the other 2. But those are my top 3 powder blushes in my collection. For top 3 cream blushes, I do have these 3 here. And this one is actually quite new to me. I bought it on a whim because I was going to do a drugstore makeup haul and try on because I'm not a drugstore girly. We all know this. I have fallen in love with this blush. Like I have to force myself to put it down. And I think that the amount of use in this should tell you everything that you need to know. I cannot put this blush down. This is all I have left of it, and it was, obviously, I bought it brand new. It was completely full when I brought it into my collection. This is the ColourPop blush stick in the shade Cool It, and it is just warm enough, but also just cool enough that it goes with like literally anything I put on to my face. I just love this blush so much, and it's a cream that doesn't pick up anything underneath, and I can put it on with a brush and I can put it on with a sponge, and it looks just beautiful every single time. It doesn't stay tacky on my skin, which I also love from a cream blush, and it's just super easy to use. Super easy to use. It blends out really well. I really love that blush stick, and I would consider buying more from ColourPop in that formula. Secondarily, I have this one by MAC. This is the MAC Glow Play blush, and this one is in the shade Blush Please. I do have 2 shades of this. I have this one in Heat Index. Heat Index is a little bit more like fiery orange or red. It's like a putty, right? So you stick your finger in and you can definitely see the indent of where your finger was. It is just super pretty. I put that on the wrong finger, so we're gonna try that again. It's super pretty, and I mean, goes along with the theme of all the other blushes that I have here. Look, these 2 look super similar. This one I would say is a little bit more powdery. It's definitely like a putty to powder kind of formula, and it truly goes absolutely nowhere. Whereas like I think the ColourPop one, I'm not seeing it much after like the 6th or 7th hour. This one stays on my skin all day long. It truly goes nowhere. It almost creates kind of like this stain almost on my, without being a stain. Like it does come off for sure, but I was really floored by these blushes, and I would certainly pick up every single shade that they have. I think there's like 5 shades of them, and they just feel so nice. You can blend them out, get more sheer if you want, but they build up really, really well, which is not something I can say about this. I don't think that it builds up very well. So definitely go in with what you want in the beginning. I just love it. I just love it. It's so pretty. Lastly, I have the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush in Oh She's Different. This was the very first Patrick Ta blush that I ever purchased myself. And by pure usage, I think you can see like I use the cream blush all the time. I very rarely, I just stuck my finger in that powder. I very rarely am using the powder blush. The P and the T are obviously still there, but this guy's got quite a bit of a dip. Now I love this because it truly does last all day. It truly does blend out so beautifully, and it truly is impactful. And again, it doesn't stay dewy, so you're getting all the things. It looks great with the powder underneath it. It looks great without the powder at all. It looks great with the powder on top of it. Like, I just think that it is such a beautiful blush. And it was the first blush that I have ever used, I think, that was a cream. Maybe there might have been one other one before it, but it was the first blush that I've ever used that when I went to take my makeup off at the end of the day, I was like, holy poo, that's still on my face. Like, I could not fathom that there would still be blush on my face. Like before getting this blush, I think I had said 100,000 times my face eats blush, because my face does eat blush, but not this one. This one lasts forever on my skin. And I mean, it's getting up there in age, but I'm holding on to it because it smells fine. It works fine. There's no like weirdness to it, which shocks me because Patrick Ta is not known for weirdness not happening to his products. But that is my, 6 favorite blushes in my blush category. 3 being powder and 3 being cream. I mean, we do have a couple of standouts, like this pink is a standout shade, right? And this kind of like berry tone is a standout shade. The rest of them are pretty much same color story. I really do love a beautiful like peachy brownie blush. Moving on to bronzers, we're going to start with my powder bronzers, and I do have these 3. As it pertains to this video, I didn't really dive into my favorite contours versus my favorite bronzers because, truth be told, I use both contour and bronzer in the same way in my everyday makeup application. I don't often like sculpt myself, so I use them both in the same way. So first and foremost is the Film Star Bronze and Glow by Charlotte Tilbury, and it is, of course, this shade up here, which looks like nothing in the pan. I love the packaging. I did get this in a lucky bag. I almost gave this away. I almost gave it away. But then my friend Anna was like in love with this contour powder, and I was like, I don't get it because it's so light. But you know, I mean, it's just so silky to the touch, and it also just goes on so beautifully and is almost an invisible bronze without being invisible. It is so perfect. I never ever thought when I picked this or when I opened this up and got it that it would be a product that I would keep. It builds so beautifully. It looks beautiful on a no makeup day, just for like that subtle like chiseled like face that you maybe want to get a little bit more like definition out of your face without like putting on a lot of makeup. But it also blends so nicely over the top of foundations or anything that you got going on. And this actually also works for me really well in the summertime, which I would have told you were a liar before actually trying it. And the highlight in that isn't too bad either. So I love taking that with me on the road. The other one is the Natasha Denona Contour Sculpting Powder. And this one has been a favorite of mine for a very long time. It is quite a bit deeper than the Charlotte Tilbury one for sure. But it's just got that like perfect like tone to it where it could definitely come across as a contour, but also it's warm enough. I just got it everywhere. It's warm enough that it can also bronze, which I'm so excited about because like looking at it, it doesn't really look like it's warm, but it's not too orange. I find that most bronzers that I pick up that I think are not going to be orange are orange. And that's why I say like I use contour and bronzer kind of in the same way because I don't love them to be orange on my skin. Like orange on me just makes me look like an Oompa Loompa. I already have quite a bit of warmth in my face, so I don't need an extra shot of orange. So this one you can barely see anymore because I put the Natasha right over the top of it. And then my last would be Pat McGrath. This is actually rather new to me within the last year. This is her Skin Fetish Divine Bronzer in the shade Nude Honey. And again, I don't buy a whole lot of bronzers because I'm like, they're going to be way too warm on my skin. This one looked not warm at all. That is why I picked it up. Do it like this so I'm not going over the top of the Natasha Denona. And that is it. I mean, it's got a little bit of warmth to it, right? But not too much warmth to it. You can definitely see the difference between the Natasha Denona and the Pat McGrath, and definitely the Charlotte Tilbury that's sitting up here almost invisible. But like for three very different reasons, I love all three of these. And this one, like I said, I've had it for a little less than a year, and that imprint on that is nearly invisible. So you can tell I absolutely love it. It's one that I take with me almost everywhere I go because I know it's perfect for me. So they all work in three very different ways. This one I wouldn't say I necessarily could contour with, but I probably could because it's got a little bit of neutrality to that warmth that comes across. This one is very much a sculpting powder, but it also works really well on kind of like my warm olive skin tone as a bronze without looking dirty. And this one is definitely for my, no makeup days where I just need a little oomph to my face to kind of sculpt it. For the category of cream, I do have these three here. Now this one is not in its proper packaging because the packaging broke, but this is the Makeup by Mario sculpting stick. And as you can see, I love the hell out of this thing. Now this is in my project pan, but I did have to take that sculpting stick and put it into two different components because it broke. The component broke. So, which is actually very irritating. I hate when you spend that much money on a product and the components break. Like, make better components, to be honest. But this one is the only one that I had that wasn't, like, I have it in two different components. One of them is air safe, one of them is not. So I am trying to use this one up so that I don't waste the product, but you guys can see I am doing some damage. It's supposed to be in stick form, so it's coming out really a lot, but this is more of a sculpt stick. Obviously, that is what it is called. It is more of like a contour-ish product. But this is what is on my face today as the bronzer and sculpt product. And I find that it's got just enough warmth to it, as you can see it on the blended out portions around the edges. It's got just enough warmth to it that it actually works really well also as a bronzer on my face. I don't think it's too deep. I think it's not gray. I think it's not, too warm. It doesn't make me look a little bit Oompa Loompa. It is on my forehead, along my hairline, down here along my chin. I do think that it is really very beautiful, and I would repurchase this sculpt stick if they change the component. Secondary to that, I do have the NARS Laguna bronzer. This is their Laguna bronzing cream. Mine is Laguna 03. This is actually, it looks quite dark in the pan, and it is quite dark, but it's so warm. It's such a warm bronzer without being like straight up orange. I know it looks straight up orange next to that, like all the gray tone up here. It just kind of gives a little bit more of a peachy glow to it than orange. And it's got a lot of neutrality to it, and it blends out like a dream. Like, literally, I don't think there's ever been a time where I have picked this up on my brush and gotten too much, even though I maybe thought I had too much in the moment, because it just blends so beautifully on the skin. It doesn't pick up the products underneath. I've even put this over the top of powder because I put it on and then I put a blush on, which was a powder blush, and then realized that the blush kind of overtook my bronzer, so I went back in with a little bit more of this, and it went seamlessly over a powder as well. I just think it's such a beautiful product and truly does really great things for not only sculpting but like bronzing the face. I love Laguna bronzer so much. I think it is a cult favorite for a reason. Then I have this one, which is the My Chanel Le Beige bronzer. I don't know that there's a colorway here. This is the Healthy Glow bronzing cream, and I have it in Soleil Tan. So I know that you guys can see that there is quite a stark difference between these two products. Quite a stark difference. What I would say is there's a little bit of differentiation in how I use them. So again, this one I would use for like a no makeup look, really just creating a beautiful bronze on my skin that's healthy and natural. This one is a little bit more orange-ish, comes across as a little bit more like Oompa Loompa, and if I'm not careful, I can definitely make myself look like an Oompa Loompa with this product because it is quite warm. But I also think that this product really doesn't require much for you to get like the amount of payoff that you need from it, or the amount of glow and healthy bronzing, healthy glow. I love wearing this specifically during the summer because it just does just that. It gives you just this really beautiful, healthy tan glow to your skin. And while it is a little bit like on the orange side, it's more of like peachy. So it works really well with the coloring in my skin without turning me into an Oompa Loompa. I know I keep saying that, but that's really what I feel like I look like sometimes, specifically with certain bronzers in my collection. So these are the 6 bronzers that are my favorites in my bronzing category, my 3 favorite powder bronzers, and my 3 favorite cream bronzers. And look at all the cream ones. I mean, you can still see the Chanel one is light as it was, but I mean, even the powder ones. Like, that is, I think, what I will say about, look at that NARS one. It's holding on for dear life. They truly go absolutely nowhere on my skin. All right, last category for top 3 is highlighters. I think this will be no surprise to anybody, but my absolute hands down favorite highlighter on the planet, I will probably repurchase this, and this is a Project Pan spoiler, is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Highlighting Duo in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. Last year, this was in my Project Pan to use the Lightning Dust side. This year, it's in my Project Pan to use the Fire Crystal side. And this, folks, is all that is left. Listen, I have used the poop out of this highlighter since I bought it. I love this highlighter so much. It is what is on my face today. It's such a beautiful, like, see me from the moon highlight in certain circumstances, but also just kind of becomes one with your skin in other circumstances. And when I look at you head on, even though it is so blinding in certain lights, it doesn't look like I am a 47-year-old woman trying to be 12 and I'm trying to blind you. But when I turn my face, it's definitely there, right? So I love this highlighter, and I will likely buy it again. It's got this like really beautiful like pinkiness to it without being like super pink, and this really beautiful like shininess to it without being chalky. I feel like it's a little bit, because I've repressed it a couple of times, and I feel like it's a little bit moisture rich and feels good on the skin. And because it's so moisture rich, it just lays on the skin in such a beautiful way that it doesn't feel cakey. It doesn't feel powdery. It just feels really good. I also really love, like, jumped on the bandwagon really super fast and picked up one of these Rare Beauty highlighters. Mine is in the shade Exhilarate. This is the only one that I could get my hands on for the longest time. And yes, I have used it, but I mean, it looks like I've nearly not used it. And I think it's just because it takes so little to get such a beautiful impact out of this highlight. And this would be my like golden highlight of choice. I think like when I turn my head, you can't see it. There's no cast. It's just truly, truly beautiful. It's so silky. It feels so good. And again, like the Fenty one, now I don't think that this one is as maybe moisture rich as the Fenty one is, but I do think that this one just lays on the skin, becomes one with the skin, and you can't really tell that there is a product there except for the sheer shine of the product. So really love that guy. And then last but not least of my powder highlights is going to be this one. This one, again, I was talked into, influenced by Steph from It's Just Steph. This is the Bobbi Brown highlighter in Pink Glow. And I just purchased a mini because honestly, if it comes in a mini, you should always buy a mini, especially as it pertains to blushes or highlights or whatever. It takes forever to get through blushes and highlights. Highlights specifically, you use them on such a small area of your face. This is Bobbi Brown Pink Glow. This one I would say is my most, of my favorites. It's my most, like you can definitely tell it's a powder highlight, but look at how pretty that is. It is just so beautiful. So if I'm going to go for a pinky highlight, it's definitely going to be that one. So I have my kind of like cool tone highlight, my like gold tone highlight, my pink tone highlight. What more do I need? I mean, every single highlight on the planet is what I need. That is what I need. But those are my three favorite as it pertains to powder. And then my three favorite as it pertains to cream are these guys here. First of all, this is just a little mini. I picked it up in a Sephora sale, or their Beauty Insider sale. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light one in the shade Spotlight. I had never used this before ever, and the first time I used it, I fell in love. And I think the biggest reason why I fell in love with it is because it is just so, number one, easy to use. It can be super impactful, but you can also share it out quite well. I hate the packaging. I think the packaging is actually quite messy. It drives me absolutely bonkers, this packaging, but that is it right there. Look at just how crazy See Me From the Moon that is. Perfect inner corner highlight. It's just so easy to use, and you can blend it out and it becomes a little less like stark there, but all over. Oh God, so pretty. So pretty. This one I feel the same about. This is the Grande Glow Plumping Liquid Highlighter. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and I remember thinking and even saying out loud to you guys, why do we need a plumping highlighter? But also, I didn't know that Grande made highlighters. And it ranks right up there with Charlotte as far as impact. Like, these are my See Me From the Moon, like crazy impactful. And then we have Ritual Defy. Listen, this one is in the shade Moon Pillar, and I cannot with this highlight. This highlight is so pretty, and I'm surprised that it's lasted as long as it has, because Ritual Defy, in my experience, has not lasted nearly as long as this has. It typically starts stinking within the first 6 or 8 months that I have it. Like, it's not going to last you very long at all. And it makes a person like me kind of steer away from the brand, right? Because, I mean, they're 30 something dollars, 30-ish dollars. And when you don't use them that much, and they will like go bad on you within 9 months, like, it's hard to purchase something like that. But this one, that is my more neutral. That is so, so pretty. And it's got a little bit of a lavender flip to it. Oh God, it is so beautiful with like a purple eye look. Yeah. One thing that I love about Ritual Defy is that they are, you know, cream without kind of really having that like balminess to them. They feel really dry in the pan until you warm them up with your finger. And then when they go on and almost immediately become powder-like, so that you're not like struggling with it picking up product. You're not really struggling with it moving things underneath. You're not really struggling with it not like sitting on your skin in a beautiful way. It just, I mean, I think that you guys can see it just kind of sits there without like really finding itself leaning into the fine lines and wrinkles. It doesn't really exacerbate all the like dry patches on my skin. Like it's just pretty. So those are the 6 favorites in my collection for my highlighter collection. And yeah, that is it. That is all. That is all I have for you today. I would be interested to hear what your thoughts are on my top 3 in every category for my face categories: blush, bronzer, and highlight. I do know that I cheated just a little bit and brought you 3 powders and 3 creams or liquid/creams in each category, but truly that's how my inventory is set up, and I think that's how most of our inventories are set up. So let me know what your thoughts are on the products that I chose. What are your top 3 in every category? I would love to hear from you guys down in the comment section. So don't forget to hit me up down there. I do love having a conversation, and today is no different. And I'm still in a position where I'm answering all my comments, so it might take me a minute, but I get there. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you and yours are safe, that you are all healthy and well and getting along as best you can. I hope that you are getting some sunshine where you're at and enjoying some vitamin D, because we all need it around these parts, especially in the PNW, especially in Western Washington. I need some sunshine. If you could, please send some my way. That would be fantastic. And with that said, thank you guys again so dang much. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. And until next time, bye, friends.